Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the adorable Love Cat stamp set from the Stampin' Up! January to April mini catalog. Now let me just show you the set. I will show it to you in some detail, but look at these little kitties. Okay, now you know I'm a cat lover. We are cat people in this house. We have two fur babies, Stella and Phoebe. They often make their way into my newsfeed. And as soon as I saw this adorable stamp set, I knew that I had to pick it up for the two men in my life, my son and my husband, to make Valentine's, birthdays, Father's Day cards, because there's so many possibilities with this adorable set. So it is perfect. One of the best things about being a card maker is that we can customize our cards for the recipients, right? So if we have someone who loves cats, we can use a cat stamp set. If we know someone who loves motorcycles, we can use a motorcycle stamp set, etc. And that is one of the best things about this hobby, is that we can make really special greeting cards for the people that matter most to us. So the Love Cat set is perfect for the cat lover in your life, or for you, because I love cats too, and it's just so much fun to play with. So I'm excited to share these projects with you today. All of the ones I'm going to share today are kind of Valentine-y because, well, we're only a couple weeks out from Valentine's Day. Yes, tomorrow is February 1st, believe it or not. So I thought it would be appropriate to share some Valentine's cards. But there are so many things you can do with this stamp set. Swap out the sentiments and you can use them for any occasion, really. You could even do really cute Christmas cards with this set. So let's, first of all, pull up my video here on my iPad so I can see who's joining me. And there we go. Let's see who's here. All right. Oh, well, let me scroll. Come on, let me scroll. Okay, I see. Oh, there's Tracy. Hi, Tracy and Pam and Laura. We've got the U.S. connection here today. Hi, Jean. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Linda. All right, so I'm going to flip my camera. I'm going to stop yipping and yapping, and we're going to get to some stamping. Okay, so let me flip, and we'll get to it. Okay? Hi, Cheryl. I knew you'd be on for this one. Okay, let me flip. All right, looking a little cockeyed. We're gonna have to do a bit of a gist in here because that's gonna bother me and it'll probably bother you too. There we go. That looks straight. Okay, so here it is, the Love Cat set. It's kind of a, like, don't want to say throwaway, but it's just kind of one of those stamp sets you kind of probably breeze past in the catalog, especially if you're not a cat person, or even if you are, you may not have noticed it because it shares real estate in the catalog with the fabulous Share a Milkshake bundle, which you're going to see featured by me in a couple of weeks. But it's easy to miss this adorable one. It's on page 13 and it's only $29, which, let's be honest, as the cost of stamping supplies go, is pretty cheap. So this cute set, 3 cute kitty images, some adorable Valentine's kind of theme sentiments, but not necessarily, and lots of possibilities. So let's get to it. We'll get that out of the way. First project we are going to make. Oh, you can listen to me for hours. Well, thanks, Laura. I wish you were in my class because my students seem to have a hard time listening to me for more than 10 seconds at a time. So the first one we're going to do today is this cute card. So I posted this, was it yesterday? Yesterday or today? I can't remember. I think it was today. And I got lots of questions about this plaid DSP in the background. Well, let me show you the reverse side. So here it is, that red plaid, fun pattern. Look at what that is. It's from the Day at the Farm Celebration DSP. So this awesome red plaid is on the reverse side of the pattern that has all of the farm animals. So if you're not into farm animals, you're probably into plaid. So check out that free DSP pack. All right, so we are going to start assembling our squares here to go on our cards. So I stamped each one of my kitties, and they were stamped using the Stamp-A-Majig. Okay, so I stamped them a few times in the Memento Black to get a really nice, bold, solid black image. Okay, because we have to use the Memento pad, and it's a felt pad, you don't get the same kind of ink coverage that you do with our regular foam pads. So in order to get a really nice, crisp black image, no matter how juicy your Memento pad is, you're going to have to overstamp a couple of times, or be okay with maybe a little bit of modeling in your stamp, whichever you're good with. I use my Stamp-A-Majig to get a nice crisp image. So I stamped them just all at once on a single sheet of white cardstock, and then I die cut them using my stylish shapes dies. This is, I think, the second largest. Let's pull them out. They're right here. Is it the second largest? Nope, it's the third largest. It's the middle die. So there are 5 different size squares. It's the middle one, okay? So I cut them each out, and then I cut a mat from black cardstock that is exactly 2 inches square. And you're going to find that that's going to create a really nice, tidy little narrow border. You know I like my narrow borders. So we're going to go ahead and glue these little kitlets onto our mats here. And I just like the way that little bit of black just makes the image pop that much more. So we're going to go ahead and layer each of these. There we go. And one more. Hi, Judy. Welcome. Oh, you already used it. Way to go, Betty. That's great. I'm trying to glue and look at comments. It's probably not the best idea. I'm probably going to do the same thing. All right, so there we go. There are our little kitties. Now we need to color the hearts, and we also need to do a little stamping. So I wanted to show you what I did, and this may shock some of you, but for those of you who have watched me for a while, you won't be surprised. So this little sort of lounging, hanging on the edge kitty here, the heart stamp is actually attached to the cat, okay? Kind of like I did here, okay? However, because I wanted to use the cat on its own without the hearts, I actually did a little stamp surgery and cut the hearts off. That doesn't mean I'm not going to use them. I can actually mount them on a separate block, which I'm going to do right now. And then I can stamp them wherever I want without having to worry about not inking the cat. Okay, so it's okay to do surgery on your stamps. Okay, don't be scared. I do it all the time. All right, so we're going to stamp our hearts here. Whoopsie, that one shifted a little bit. Oh, we have a crooked mat. That's going to bug me. Oh well, I'm going to have to live with it because that glue is set. See, told you I shouldn't try and read comments and glue at the same time. Never ends well. All right, so I'm going to stamp my little hearts here in my Memento Black, and you see how I get that little bit of modeling? Okay, now I'm going to show you a little fix for that. I'm going to bring in my dark basic black Stampin' Blends, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to fill in that black heart and get it a little bit more solid. You see that? Easy peasy fix. Okay, then I'm going to color my open heart here with my dark, oh, I should be using Cherry Cobbler. Oops, hang on, let me grab the right marker. I'm going to use my dark Cherry Cobbler blends. We're going to go right over top of that, and look at that, it covered. Oh, 2 mistakes fixed in once. All right, so we're going to go ahead and color this little heart also, and we're going to color this one. Okay, there we go. Now let's glue these guys down. So my DSP is cut the size of a card front. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's free DSP, so why not make the most of it? So I'm gonna just lay out my little kitties here. I'm gonna glue them so that there's about an equal border. So do you see how it's kind of equal on both sides and top and bottom? Okay, this guy is gonna go on popped up in a minute. We're gonna glue these 2 on first. And again, anytime I'm doing this kind of work where I may want to adjust, I use liquid glue so that I have that little bit of wiggle time. And the nice thing again about using plaid is that it's straight lines, so it helps you get your pieces on straight. Maybe that's why I love it so much. I don't have to worry about being crooked. All right, so let's get this guy on. Get those lined up. Okay, there's my cute kitties. And then I have, I've already done this ahead of time, but I'll tell you what I did. So I just heat embossed in white the sentiment on basic black cardstock. And then I die cut it using my Stylish Shapes dies. So those Stylish Shape dies, they are actually, I think they're not orderable right now. I think they're out of stock. They are coming back, never fear. But if you don't have those dies yet, they are by far my most used dies. So if you are looking, you know, to kind of watch your spending during sort of some economically challenging times, you may want to consider picking up these dies because they will take you as far as you need to go when you're making your cards. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and glued my little banner here to the back of my kitty, and we're going to pop him up. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals. Yes, we did, Betty. We cut them up. Yep, absolutely. Judy loves her Stamparatus. Yes, it is like it's a game changer, right? Especially if you are someone who maybe suffers from arthritis or some grip issues where you have a hard time gripping the stamp blocks. And I can totally see that being me in a couple of years because playing guitar and ukulele and all the things that I play certainly does a number on your hands, not to mention all of the stamping and what we do with our hands when we're crafting. So I can absolutely seeing me really embrace my Stamparatus in a couple of years when I need to. But I use it now whenever I'm want a bold image in a particular color, or if I'm doing multiples, or I really need to be precise with lining up my images. So it is a great tool. All right, so there's our card front. All we need to do now is glue this onto our card base. So it's just a basic black card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll just crisp that up, and we're going to glue our card front on. Now, when I do this, I like to lay this open so that I can see that I'm getting this centered on my card front. And again, I'm going to use liquid glue. Not that I don't still love my seal. Don't want anybody thinking I have, abandoned it. But when I'm aligning pieces that I want to get really precisely placed, I like to use the liquid glue just so I have that little bit of wiggle time. So we're just going to line up the edges of our DSP, and then I'm going to flip this over and just burnish it really well. Okay, so there's our card front. We're going to add a couple of little embellishments here. I'm using the black matte dots from the annual catalog just because I have lots of them and they work well on this card. So why not? Often I like to use bling, but I'm kind of in the back of my mind thinking this may be my husband's Valentine's card from the cats. So I thought I would keep it a little bit less blingy. And then we're actually going to stamp the inside because we have a black card base, and I always like to do something on the inside, and with black you have to. So I'm going to show you what I did really quickly. This is just a little scrap that was left over from cutting my card front. So that is going to get glued on. But first we're going to stamp our sentiment. I love hanging out with you. So we'll ink that up and stamp it on our cardstock. Now I should mention this piece is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Okay, I'm going to ink up my little hearts again. And you can see I'm still getting that sort of mottled effect from that larger solid heart. So I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. And we're just going to touch that up a little bit with our Stampin' Blends. I would not recommend doing this with a Stampin' Right marker because it's going to show quite a bit more. The blends, well, blend better. Hence the name. All right, so let's color in our little hearts here again with our dark Sherry Cobbler. Get that filled in. And then we're going to add our little strip. Now this is going to be a little bit wide, but that's okay. We're going to trim it off. As I said, it was left over from cutting my card front, which was 4 1/4 wide. This is only 4. So I didn't actually screw up. I knew it was going to be long, but that's okay because we're going to trim it. So whenever I've got to trim a little piece like this, it's easiest just to flip it over and trim it with your snips. You could certainly use your paper cutter, but this is faster and easier. All right, so let's get a little bit of glue on the back of this guy. And we're gonna pop this inside of our card we just made. Just like that. And there we go. Super cute little Valentine's card for hubby from Cats. And I can say that because I know he never watches my videos, so he won't need this ahead of time. There we go. All right. Oh, Jean, you like it because it uses all 3 cats. I do too. I love these. And actually, you're going to like the next one too because I couldn't decide which ones I like best. So there you go. All right. Hi, Heather. I see you're watching. Hi, Judy. Hi, Sonia. Thank you for sharing. All right, next one we're gonna do is this one. Again, uses all three cats, similar color scheme, not quite the same, is because I stamped my kitties in gray. We actually used to have a gray cat. He was our old man, miserable, grumpy old man. And we lost him actually during COVID. He had to be put down. He was 18, lived a good life. He was a stray that showed up on our deck the first summer we lived here, and he sort of took over. And he and my husband were best buds. He and I didn't get along all that well. Not that I'm not a totally likable person, but this cat and I just were not good friends. He bit me one too many times, so we just kind of tolerated each other, but he was my husband. My husband could do anything with this cat, and he was fine with it. All right, so this reminds me of our Schmo. Schmo was our grumpy old man cat. So he was a gray, and I'll show you how to put this one together. So to start, I had a piece of 4 by 5¼ inch Country Gingham DSP. Okay, and then I ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss with the Picture This dies. Okay, it cuts at all 3 of those rectangles at once. Save the rectangles because they're great for other things, right? You can use those rectangle die cuts on another project, but that's how I got this piece, okay? And I've had people ask me about that when I've used this die before, and I just wanted to be really clear what it was. It's actually a die that cuts all 3 at once. You could get a similar look with the stitch rectangle dies if you have those, okay? But I use the Picture This dies, okay? Now, my background, I'm gonna layer this. You're gonna notice that it's got a little white mat all the way around. Can you see that on the sample? So this white mat is cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. All right. Now I'm actually going to be building my card with this just sitting on the mat. Okay. Because I'm going to glue, actually, you know what? Let's glue our cats first. Then we'll do our stamping. All right, so I stamped all my cats ahead of time and fussy cut them just so you don't have to sit and watch me fussy cut. These are pretty easy by fussy cutting standards. Like they're not hard. You know, you'll notice I didn't go in and around the whiskers or anything. You can be pretty quick and easy with them. So I'm gonna color my little heart here. I'm using dark Sweet Sorbet to coordinate with the Gingham DSP, and we'll color this little heart as well. We'll just add a little pop of red here to our gray kitties. Okay, and then you'll notice when I cut these guys out, I left a little bit, and that's just so I have some real estate to put the glue on, to stick my little kitty on. Okay, so I'm going to use a little liquid glue just along the bottom edge here. And we're really just kind of tacking it in place, and then we're going to add glue in a couple other strategic spots. Okay, so that's going to kind of hold it there. And then I'm going to come in and add a little bit sort of to the top of the tail, a little bit there and a little bit on the bum. And then just stick those down. Okay, and then those will stay put. This little heart, we're actually going to put a mini dimensional behind when we stick it onto our mat, and that will keep that from flopping. All right. Okay, next we're going to do our little ledge hanging kitty. So he's going to get glued just with a bit of liquid glue on the tail and on the paws. Okay, I'm not actually putting any on the body because the body is going to actually get adhered to our mat rather than to this layer. So we'll just kind of tack that into place. This is all kind of temporary just to kind of get our positioning so we can do our stamping, and then we'll secure it all once we put it on the mat. Okay, our last little guy, he's going to kind of hang down here in behind. I left a little too much here. I'm going to trim a little bit off there. And he's going to kind of be hanging down, peeking out here. Okay, so again, a little bit of glue here. And I'm just going to kind of position this where I want him. And there he is. Look how cute he is. Little schmo. All right. How did I cut my hearts up? I just used an old pair of snips. I have loads of these, right? I replace my paper snips every couple of months because I like them to be nice and sharp for when I'm fussy cutting. So I used a pair that I had decommissioned and just used them to cut them. Now you could certainly trim this up if you wanted to, so it's a little bit tidier if you don't like sort of that edge there. But I wanted it to be really easy to reattach it and line it up with the cat stamp if I wanted to, so I didn't do any trimming. I just kind of left it as it was, and then it's easy to line up afterwards. Okay. All right. So there are our kitties. Now we're going to line this up on our mat once again. And I want to make sure it's centered. We're not gluing it on because we're actually going to pop this up. But the reason that we're laying this on here is so we know where to stamp all of our cute sentiments. So we're going to start with I love hanging out with you. So we'll ink that up in some basic gray. And we're going to stamp that just inside this little window here. Okay. And then we need Hi There Valentine. It's going to go up here. Now this is a bit of a tight squeeze. It does fit, but it is a bit of a tight squeeze. So we're going to just I'm going to hold that tail down so I don't get ink on it and stamp that there. Okay. And then we're going to add a couple of little hearts in the middle here. We're going to stamp those in Sweet Sorbet. So we'll just grab our surgically removed hearts and we're going to stamp a couple of these guys in this little window. And I'm actually, got a halo. That's not good. All right, we're going to stamp some hearts right over top of that to hide that halo. This is how we fix mistakes, people. We alter our design as necessary. There we go. Bye-bye halo. All right, and we'll add maybe a couple up here that are above our kitty. And that will work. There we go. See? Okay, let's glue this on. We are going to add some dimensionals to the back of our DSP piece and our kitties. So I'm not going to go crazy. You certainly, if you wanted to, could use the foam adhesive strips. That would make it really quick to add your dimensionals. However, I didn't want it to pop so much. The adhesive strips are a little bit thicker than dimensionals, which obviously makes your card thicker and harder to mail, right? So if you are mailing a card, I would recommend using the dimensionals rather than the adhesive strips, just to make it so it doesn't need extra postage. Okay. All right. So let's pop this on here. I think we're going to put a mini in the middle there just to make sure that that stays put. And we are going to put a mini under the heart here. Make sure that stays. All right. That looks good. So we're going to get rid of all our backings. Now you could really easily turn this into a shaker card if you wanted to. For that, you would need to use the foam adhesive strips, but it would simply mean adding a layer of acetate to our card front and then adding our adhesive strips and our whatever we want to shake inside our shaker. I thought this would be really cute to do with like some cinnamon hearts or something inside of it. I may actually do that yet for Valentine's Day for the hubs. All right, now this is going to look weird because I'm going to do it sideways, but in order for me to get this straight, I got to look right down on it. And I can't do that when I'm on camera. So we're going to do this a little oddly in the hopes of getting it on. That's fairly straight. My border's a little larger on this side, but that's okay. You get the idea. Okay. And then we're going to glue this onto a card base. We've got a Sweet Sorbet card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5.5. So we'll just fold that in half along our score line. And then add a little bit of glue. Look, here's my seal. See, I haven't abandoned it. And we're going to pop that on. Just like that. Super cute. There we go. No embellishments on this one. Or a bow. Can you believe it? All right, now we're going to stamp the inside of this one too because I wanted you to see the kitty stamp in action. They do actually stamp quite beautifully. So we're going to bring in our wire hanging kitty and our basic gray ink. Now I did just re-ink my basic gray, so this may be, you may think I'm lying to you when I say these stamp beautifully because this is a super juicy ink pad, so it may get a little bit bubbly, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my cat across the top here. I'm just going to let it sit for a minute in the hopes that it's not, yeah, it's a little bit mottled. Honestly, if you have an ink pad that isn't quite so juicy, it stamps beautifully. This one's a little on the over inked side. I went a little cray cray with my ink. All right, I'm going to add a few extra little hearts. And we're going to take care not to get a halo. And another little couple here. And we're going to color our hearts. Just like that. And then that is going to get glued inside our card. Pop that in. Just like that. Super cute. Okay, so there is card number 2. All 3 kitties getting showcased today. And card number 3 is this fun fold. Now, this is one I posted yesterday. It's a really easy fun fold, but it's kind of cute. So it opens, there's a little sort of latch here that you unhook. It opens like this, and then it opens like this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it. This is the part that may confuse you. Like, how do I cut that and still have the cat part of it? Because it's not cut. I didn't cut the cat out completely. You can see when you look at the back, he's part of this panel. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's not that hard. Just takes a bit of patience. So let's do it. So I'm starting, we're going to work on this little section first. So I'm starting with a piece that is 7 inches by 2.5. And I've scored it at 5.5. Okay, so 7 by 2.5, scored at 5.5. Okay, so if I fold this in half, you're going to see that that's, I've got a hair stuck to my finger. You're going to see that that is the length of my card front, right? Oh, it's 5.25. Scored at 5.25. I lied. 7 scored at 5.25, not 5.5, because it's only going to cover my layer. That's right. All right, there we go. So this is going to go like this. This piece is going to act as our hinge that's going to tuck underneath, and this will be our part that opens. Okay, now we're going to leave it open for now. We're going to stamp our kitty. So let's bring him in. And we're going to ink this up. And again, we'll see how this goes with my you know what? I'm going to get a spoon and massage my pad a bit. So here's what you do when you get a little carried away with your re-inking, or you get a new ink pad that is too juicy. Because can you see how the ink is kind of pooling on the stamp? It's because there's too much ink. So I'm going to stamp this guy off, and because we don't get a great image when we have a super juicy pad. So let me clean him off for a sec. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do. And it'll give us a better image. So we're going to, before we ink, we're going to take the back of a plastic spoon. I keep a bunch of these in my drawer here. And I'm just going to give this a little massage. So I'm kind of working some of that ink down into the pad and pressing it in so it's not all right at the top. Because as you likely know, our ink pads are designed to store the ink at the top of the pad, right? Which is great, except when you have a super juicy pad like this one is. So we're just going to give that a little bit of a massage, send it to the spa, and then we're going to ink that up. And oh, that looks so much better. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to stamp our kitty right near the top of this piece. And it is helpful to have this piece straight so that when you stamp it, your cat is straight. Oh, nah, that's all right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to blend that in a minute. All right, so there is our cat. Now we're going to come in with a ruler. And this is not to measure. It is only so that I can see when I'm coming in with my trimmer where the edge of my cat starts. So it's going to be here, and it's going to be here. Okay, I'm not measuring. I'm just putting a pencil line in so that when I come in with my trimmer, I can see where that is. Okay, so now let's set this aside. We're going to bring in our trimmer. And I'm going to put it in this way to start. Whoops, I'm not. I'm going to put it in this way to start. And get my score. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. This is easier. So what I need to do is to look at this and make sure. So I'm not sure you can see this. Probably not on the camera. But my trimmer blade has a little line where the actual blade is going to cut. Okay. So I'm lining that up with the edge, that little line at the edge of my cat. And I've got my pencil line there so I know how far to cut. So there's another little line on my trimmer blade here, which shows me where the blade is this way. So I'm going to cut up until this little, I don't know, little indentation lines up with my pencil line. Okay, so I'm going to go up to there. Okay, and can you see how that goes right up to where my pencil line is? Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to leave that exactly where it is. And I'm going to come back up to the top. And I'm going to come down again until that little indentation meets my pencil line. So right about there. Okay? That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to fussy cut. So we'll get this out of the way. We're going to just trim off, sort of do a rough cut here to make it easier. And then I'm going to come in with my snips. And we're going to cut around our kitty. You know what? As that ink dries, the kitty looks better. It's less mottled. I really went to town on that ink pad. Should not have re-inked quite so heavily. It was really dry, so I thought, oh, I could use lots of ink. Not so smart. I should know better. Been doing this a long time. All right, we're gonna trim around our kitty. I'm not gonna be super careful around the whiskers. I'm just gonna kind of come in around this way up to my line. And there we go. Okay, super easy. Not hard to do at all, but a cool effect because it looks like we kind of die cut around our kitty when we didn't, right? Looks like a partial die cut, but partial fussy cutting. Okay. All right. So we're going to do some stamping on here. Let's get our Hi There Valentine. So we're going to stamp that. I got all these fuzzies on my desk and I don't know where they're coming from. We're going to stamp Hi There Valentine right about there. Then we're going to come in with our hearts. Add a few of them. So let's do a couple down here and a few up here. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to work on the other layers. We're going to set this aside for a minute, get rid of all the fluff, and we're going to bring in the next layer. So the next layer is actually sort of a slightly smaller standard card. So this is actually, it looks like a regular card base, but it's like an 1/8 of an inch smaller. So this is, sorry, 1/4 of an inch. This is 5 1/4 by 8 inches. Okay, so 5 1/4 by 8. Standard is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, right? So we're going to score this in the middle at 4 inches and then fold that in half. And that's going to give me my layer that's going to go in behind this. You see how that's going to work? Like that. Okay. So on this, we are going to add to the front a piece, another piece of Country Gingham DSP. So this one is cut to 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So we're going to go ahead and glue that to the front. So we're going to add a little bit of adhesive and pop that on. Right about there looks good. Okay, then I have some scrap. So this is actually the scrap that was left when I cut this out of a 6x6 sheet, right? It's the other piece of this. So I flipped it over. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. So we're going to use it. Now, when I go to glue this on, I do want to make sure that it's going to line up behind my cat. So depending how far over you stamp your cat, you're going to kind of want to get an idea of where that needs to go. So it's going to go about 3/4 of an inch in from the right side. So we'll go ahead and add a bit of adhesive. And we're going to pop that on about 3/4 of an inch over. So not crooked, please. Straight would be good. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to add some punched hearts. So these are punched from the Country Floral Lane DSP, using that punch that has gone on not orderable and will not be back until April. So if you missed out, I so apologize for that. Sometimes things are just way more popular than they can predict. And the challenge is when products are made overseas, it takes a long time to get them. And then when we throw Chinese New Year in there, it kind of messed everything up too. So I'm going to, again, just kind of position this where I want it to go because I want to make sure all of my hearts are visible behind my cat. Okay, so I glued my first heart on. I'm going to go ahead and add my second one, my smaller one, kind of tucked here. And then this last little gingham heart is actually going to serve as a little latch to hold my card shut. Okay, so I'm going to put a mini dimensional, as soon as I find them, sort of in this upper bump of my heart. It's going to go up here. Okay, and that's going to kind of catch that little flap when it closes. Okay, so again, I moved that and I shouldn't have. Let's stick that on where we want it to go. And then we'll get rid of our backing. I might put a second dimensional on there just to make sure that's nice and secure. And we'll pop that on right about there. Okay, and that's going to hold that shut. Now that we've got that assembled, we're going to leave that exactly where we want it. We're going to go ahead and add some adhesive to this little hinge piece. And we're going to glue that down to the back of our card. Okay, so that is our opening there. Okay, now before we do the inside, we're going to go ahead and stick that onto our backing piece. So this is our standard card size, okay? So 5.5 by 4.25, and we're going to go ahead and center that on there like that. So we'll do that now. Hi Jill, you made it. Oh, it's chilly here too, Jill. It is so cold. It's supposed to be like crazy cold Friday morning. I'm really not looking forward to going to work Friday morning. Oh, my car starts. It's supposed to be like crazy cold. All right, so there is the front of our card. We're going to open this up and we're going to do a little bit of work on the inside. So you can see on my sample on the inside, we're going to do a little bit of stamping on another basic white layer. So this one again is smaller still. So this is 5 by 3 3/4. It's going to go in there like that. So let's stamp I Love Hanging Out With You inside. Or for the inside. So we'll stamp that in the gray. Nope, in black because I inked the wrong pad. That's okay. I grabbed black instead of gray. Doesn't matter. And then we're going to go ahead and add a few little hearts here. There. And there. So cute. And then the last thing is to just stick that inside our card. So we're going to pop that in. Just like that. So cute, so easy, and we can latch it shut, and there we go. Cute little fun fold Valentine, not horribly hard, okay? Just takes a little bit of patience to do your fussy cutting. So let me bring in all of my samples here, and I'm going to show you a couple more that I did. So there's that one. Let's get our kitty out of the way. And then, so this is one that I did during my live launch party. If you were watching, you may remember. This is a peek through card. Again, super easy, a little bit of a fun fold. Not really, kind of, but just a little bit different, having that little peek through. And I love that you don't see the inside sentiment until you open it up, right? Having it down lower where you don't see it, I think is kind of cute. So there's that. And then this is another fun fold. So this is a surprise pop-up corner fold. So when I open this, so there's my kitty. I'm using some of the Animal Prints DSP. And this time I stamped basic gray on basic gray. I wanted him to look very dark. I didn't want to have the white behind it, and I kind of like the look of that. So when I open it up, pop, there's another cute little kitty on the inside playing with a little bauble. So there we go. All right, so there's some ideas for this adorable stamp set. As I said, it's great value when it comes to, you know, the price of stamps and whatnot, and lots of possibilities beyond Valentine's Day for the cat lover in your life. Okay? All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm glad you like them. I hope you have a great afternoon, great evening, and I will see you next week for another episode at Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.